someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah. Be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great.
Here goes my part, ready?
Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna
Oh my god, the man's going crazy.
That's it. That's it. I don't know what I'm going crazy about.
Crazy.
Crazy. Hey,
So we added a little,
Hey,
opener
a little bit.
to the day,
A little bit.
to the podcast, to the day. I don't know why we do.
The day's almost over, basically, dude.
That's
Monday in
true.
the books.
That's
Book
true. So
Book it.
this is episode 9. Not no in
The
German,
last-
but the number 9.
Last single digit podcast ever.
Yeah.
Last single digit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've been doing this for 9 weeks.
We've been doing it since what? Wild Card Weekend in the
Yep.
NFL.
Wild Card Weekend was 9 weeks ago. Crazy. Totally crazy. Anyhow, get to the clap. You know, we always got to do the clap.
That's it.
Just a quick shout out to the shirt that I got on today. Rock your socks.
That's it.
What? Huh?
I thought you were going to go shirtless. I was like,
No, dude, please. We would lose viewers if that was the case. So,
Yo,
today, today was World Down Syndrome Day. So everybody in my school and in a lot of schools across the country, a lot of places across the country, they rocked their socks. So we had Crazy Sock Day. I'm gonna show my socks off too. Fuck it. We have some orange polka dots, and got some monkeys and bananas. So just totally random socks. Throw them on. Call it a day. And you got my shirt on. So big shout out there, Jay Lamps. I know you had Crazy Sock Day too.
Yeah, but I took my socks off because I showered and yeah.
I didn't. I do my showering in the morning. I'm a morning man.
Oh nah, dude. I shower both times, morning and night, dog.
Well, it depends on what my day really brought, out of me. If I did a lot,
True.
then I'll shower in the evening.
Okay, fair.
But generally, I'm a pretty lazy fat bastard, so I don't really sweat much during the day.
Fair. I don't know what the fuck that was. That was a whole lot. Anyway.
Anyhow,
wow.
You have some important information for us. Or
I
we
do. I do.
I mean-
I do. So we're gonna open this up and we've been talking about the whole sponsorship and we've been talking about what to do exactly with sponsors, and if you have a sponsorship out there and you would like to partake in this back end podcast.
Duncan, hello. We're here if you need me.
That's it, dude. The world runs on Duncan. The world could run on Jay and Greatness Game.
Greatness runs on Duncan. No bullshit.
Greatness runs. If
And
you want to
Zoa.
be great, you drink Duncan. That's
And
it.
Zoa, dude.
So,
Zoa
Matt, let
every
me
day.
ask you. Zoa. See, I'm on Celsius, to be honest.
Zoa
I kinda
every
like
morning.
it.
That's my daily ritual. Zoa in the
Celsius is the
morning.
vibe. All right, so hold up.
Quick sip.
So is your bracket busted? Do you want to get in the betting mix?
Ah,
Maybe, possibly. I don't know. But listen, I'm here to tell you that you can. You could bet the spreads. You could bet the money lines. You could even live bet games all on one app. And what app is that? The FanDuel Sports app. It's simple to sign up, and it's really easy to use. All you have to use is my code, which I just posted in the chat
boom.
for everybody to need. If at some point you're watching this on the back end, my man Greatness is going to link it on the bottom for you guys to click on.
Yeah,
Okay,
whatever
all you
I
have to
decide to
do-
do the bots,
Yeah, I know. But all you have to do is deposit a quick $10 and place that $10 bet. And what happens when you use my code? You get an extra $50 from the site. Free money to bet
5-0.
with.
5-0.
5-0. It's free
5-0.
money. Free money to bet with. You place a minimum of a $10 bet, you get $50 back in your account, and you can use that money to whatever you want to do with it. I must remind the chat, though, and I must remind the listeners and the viewers at home that you must be 21 years old to place a bet. Minimum
Really?
21 years old. Yeah, that's like their thing. I heard it today, and I didn't say that last week, so like I'm gonna say it now, so like I don't get in trouble because I'm not out here.
So that
telling
means
young
I
people
can't
to be
bet.
betting. Well, no, you can. It's not how you act; it's your like actual age. Like, you may
Oh,
act like you're 15, but like it's actually like 30.
oh, I'm not 30.
Got it?
Dude, watch it. Watch
29.
it. Watch
Okay,
it.
dog. Okay, dog.
I got a few days left. Give it to me, okay?
Okay. Also, for those of you that also don't know, that sports betting is not accepted in some states. So check
Fine.
your local listings, because I know my man Greatness cannot bet in the state of Delaware.
It's probably better off if we're being honest.
Yeah, true.
For
But at the
me,
same time,
for
it's
me,
like,
for me.
oh, I mean, listen, like New York, where I am from, they actually just recently allowed it, and I think that it's a great opportunity to like get more money in a sense, because like I live so close to New Jersey. Where I lived in New York, I had to go place a bet in New Jersey and then travel back. It's just a whole lot. Final note: if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, there is help available. You can call 1-800-GAMBLER, or that's 1-800-848-1880. That's again 1-800-GAMBLER, or 1-800-848-1880 for all of your gambling needs.
Do you have gambling needs?
I'll tell you what, I have a problem, and it's
Do you
it's
suck
not
that
a
bad,
gambling problem. It's not a it's not a gambling problem in a sense. Like, I am in 3 brackets, pool with numbers, and a survivor pool, which is pretty dope, I will say. So hopefully I'm looking to pull some sort of money out and get at least the money I put into it, get it back. Probably not, because the one box itself was $500, but maybe hit on the bracket. Maybe hit on the bracket.
I mean, interesting you
And
bring up
if not,
brackets.
maybe survivor.
Interesting you're asking if your bracket is busted. My real question is your bracket busted? Jay, how many brackets did you do in our pool? 2?
I did 3.
Yeah,
Did 3.
and what is your status on those brackets currently? Champion still
I
alive? Finalists?
So to be honest with you, in all of 3 of the brackets, my final 4s are all intact besides one team. Now, the one bracket, I ended up picking Baylor to win it all, so like that one's chalked.
That one's done.
However, I have one being a realist and thinking on realist terms of who I thought was actually going to win, which is Gonzaga. And then on the back end of it, I was like, you know what? Like, I cannot not pick them because I'm a big fan of theirs. I picked Duke to win it all. So my final 4 within both of those is still intact for the most part. I know I had Auburn for both of them, and they actually lost last night. But
Yeah,
a
big
lot of
shock.
people do not have UCLA going pretty far, and I have UCLA in my final 4. So if UCLA can somehow squeak to the final 4, I'm looking real nice.
You know,
I'm looking real nice.
I really got to tell you, the bracket. So I have 3 brackets also. The bracket I did on stream is the bracket that has the most potential to do
That's
well.
so crazy. That's so crazy. Literally, was that your first bracket? Or
That
no?
was my first bracket. And
Me too, dude. My first bracket has the most points, and then everything else is a shit show after that.
I went back into it. The next day I did another bracket, and then actually Thursday morning I did one more bracket before it locked up. And,
yep, I squeaked in the Thursday morning bracket, and that one's chopped already. That was my Baylor one.
That was my last one. Actually, that one's still alive technically. The one I did second, I had Kentucky winning it all. They were knocked out first day. It was really pain. Really, really.
Speaking of that, our boys down in Jersey City, shout out to St. Peter's, knocking Kentucky off and then knocking out.
Hold on.
Whoa!
Yo, technical difficulties, dog. What the shit is that?
What is going on?
Hold up.
Hold on.
Hold on. Let me pause that, yo. Yo, what the fuck? Try again. There you are. Yeah.
Fucking had like some sort of Tourette's or something. Yo.
Oh, Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you know that we are live. This is not a video. This is not edited in any way. We just saw this man going into an absolute stroke mode. And I think we have to clip that.
Hells, I need that. Somebody needs to fucking chop that and put it into an emote.
I have
ASAP.
clipped it, and I will be making that an emote for you.
Oh
100%.
my god.
That was
and then
incredible.
like the fucking thing is gonna be you good. That's like what the thing is gonna be. You good? That's it. What the wow.
That was great, man. That was great. I loved it. Anyhow, back to brackets. So we talk about I mentioned St. Peter's if you want to. Yeah, we were talking about St. Peter's. St. Peter's their run right now, one of their top players is a kid that went to Bergen Catholic. Now, if you're from the area that I used to live in, Jay lives in, Bergen Catholic is a pretty high-end high school in New Jersey, and it's a private school dominated by sports and everything like that. So interesting that a kid coming out of Bergen Catholic is making some noise in St. Peter's.
Yeah, man.
St. Peter's College. They beat Kentucky round 1. They move on to beat Murray State round 2. And they're going to take on Purdue. And now I have Purdue in my Final Four in one of my brackets. I think Purdue is very good.
Yeah, Purdue has
a
big man who's very dominant.
And then they have their guard, Jay Nivey, is incredible. He's so good.
Yep.
So
listen, but you can't count out my man Doug, dude.
You can't count out Doug. Doug Eddert has been lit. He's been good. But it's going to be really hard to get past Purdue. Purdue, I mean, but for a lot of people,
you want to know something?
We're a Final Four team. Yeah.
You want to know something? Yeah, and you're right. You're right. But you want to know something? That's the luxury of March Madness. Like, that's like the best. Like,
that's
you got a team there's no rhyme or reason as to why. And they have so much. They don't have anything to prove. When you're a higher seed, you're supposed to beat the lower seeds. And like when you lose to them, it's like I clinched and like I choked and like here we are.
Listen, Purdue has the pressure on them. And I mean, St. Peter's has pressure on them too because they've got it this far. You know, they want to keep pushing. They don't want to stop. Obviously, they don't want to stop.
No.
But
nobody wants to stop.
If I had to pick, I mean, I have Purdue in the Final Four.
Listen,
they're a much better team than St. Peter's is.
I will say, nobody picked St. Peter's to go this far.
To go this far. How many people picked them in the first round?
I'm going to tell you something right now. One person, one gentleman today, I saw his stat. Out of the 16 teams that are left, one person picked 15 out of 16. How fucking crazy is that? That's fucking crazy.
That is crazy.
Like, it's a crapshoot, but at the same time, too, like, if your Final Four is still intact, your percentages of winning your bracket within, like, the pool in which you're in are really, really, really good.
100%. 100%.
That's great. So, so we have the Cinderella story of the 15 seed going up against Purdue, which is a 3
seed, yeah.
3 seed, yeah. So
very underseeded 3 seed, by the way.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
That's going to be on their side. It's a tough side too.
Yeah, I mean they were there with Kentucky.
Kentucky was a 2, and I didn't think they were deserving of a 2, but they got the 2. And then who's the 1 on their side?
I'm gonna pop into that bracket right now so I could see.
That's fun.
Was that the Baylor bracket? Yeah, it was the Baylor bracket.
Oh yeah, Baylor was 1 and they got bounced. So like that whole side is all chopped up.
So I'm glad you bring up Baylor getting bounced. North Carolina comes in at a 9 seed, and in the first round they played Marquette. They absolutely blew the doors off of Marquette. That game was never close from start to finish.
No, well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it was like that.
Did Marquette not belong at 9, or did North Carolina not belong at 8? I mean, what's
North
the question?
Carolina was embarrassed in the ACC tournament against Virginia Tech, and they got their shit pushed in. When I tell you, like, it wasn't even enjoyable to watch. I left a little bit after halftime at the ACC tournament that night, and a lot of UNC fans were disgusted, and they left. And I guarantee you, their coach must have told them, like, listen, if you play this way, you're going to get bounced first round against Marquette. And they came out and they were throwing all of the haymakers. And I'll tell you what, everybody's clicking. However, we're going to talk about something in a minute with the next game that they played against Baylor on how it's going to be very impactful for them moving on to this round where they have to play UCLA, who I took to be in my Final Four. But they go, as far as 3 players go, you have you have RJ Davis, you have Maycott, and then B, and then who? Oh, Manic.
Yep, that's their big man shooter.
But I believe because he got ejected in the Baylor game, he will not be allowed to play this next game.
Interesting. I don't know what the rules are about that.
I believe that is the rule. I can always double check it, which I probably will. I'll let you talk. However, did you watch the Baylor UNC game?
You know what? Here's a funny story. I took Saturday. I went to the beach. It was beautiful down here in Delaware. We went to Rehoboth, and not a lot open, but it was just so nice. We couldn't not take the opportunity to go down. So about an hour and a half drive, and we're on the boardwalk or whatever, and I see that Baylor's getting absolutely blasted, and I'm like, oh, this game's over. And then I get a notification from Bleacher Report saying Baylor has cut the lead down to 2 with like a minute and change to go. So I pull my phone out. Now I'm watching on my phone. I'm sitting down on the boardwalk watching on my phone, and game goes to overtime, whatever. That the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game plus overtime, the game was incredible. The game was so good. Back and forth. Baylor up, Baylor down, Carolina up, Carolina down. Personally, when I saw Baylor come back, I thought they were going to win the game. I didn't think Carolina was going to be able to hang on because, I mean, you look at the seeding and you look at the talent on the teams and you think that the talent's going to win out on the Baylor side, but Carolina held on, man. They held on, and I think that, now you say Brady Manick, and now that's curious to me how that's going to play out, but Carolina, UCLA.
Okay, so he's not. So he says
good.
If UNC won, Manick would not be suspended for the play in their next match. He will be allowed to play in their next matchup. However, if it was a fighting situation and fists were thrown, that is when he's suspended.
Okay.
Yes.
So
he's allowed to play. So I guess
I have no idea who to pick here. Like, I have no idea. This is going to be a very good game. I think all of these games in the next round are going to be good.
Aside from the St. Peter's game.
Well, honestly, I think that game is going to be a blowout. Unfortunately.
So I think
Purdue's very good.
You'll see a good first half. I think you'll see a good first half, but then I think you'll see
the talent's going to win out there.
Yeah, I think you'll see why the number 3 is the number 3 for a reason. Yeah. So I watched the Baylor UNC game. I was at the gym, so I was like lifting. I was watching on the screen, and then like it came time to do like cardio, bro. I could not get off the treadmill. I did 2.5 miles on the treadmill, and I watched the entire rest of the game. They were down 26 points. I'm fucking sweating for them as I'm on the treadmill, and it was nuts. This dude gets ejected. At the time in which he was ejected, I have the score here. It was 67-42. And like, that's it. It's done. Yeah. Baylor comes back on a 9-0 run. UNC calls timeout to try to figure it out, and they were baffled. You got guys running down the floor, banging threes, cutting, driving, kicking it out, doing everything. Bro, when they forced overtime, I was like, there's no way. Yep. So I was listening to the broadcast, and they were saying that this would have been the first time that somebody has come back from a 26-point deficit to win. Now, we've seen this years past, and it was BYU, and it was the first round. They were down 25, and they ended up coming back to win a couple years ago. But what a game. It was everything awesome. You could have possibly asked for and more. Plus, that day in particular, you had a lot of overtime games. And we've seen a lot of overtime games. Last night was an overtime game for Arizona. The
tournament in general has been, outside of a small amount of blowouts, in the first round. And I think there was a blowout over the weekend. And believe it or not, the Auburn game turned into a blowout. They won by almost 20. That game was relatively close throughout. It was a 5-10 point game throughout the entirety of it. But all these games that we just watched over the weekend were great, almost right down to the wire.
I mean, the only reason why like the scores don't say much, but like
but like you can see, that game was a lot closer than 8 points.
Yeah. It was close, and like Villanova played Ohio State, and like they won by 10, but like it was closer.
They closed the whole game.
The free throws,
the last minute or two.
The free throws, yeah. And then Houston played Illinois, and like Houston was fucking dude.
That game was great until about the last 5 minutes when Houston pulled away.
Yeah, Iowa State coming in with an upset too. Iowa State was ranked 11. They played Wisconsin ranked 3, and they beat them. And again,
I'm shocked. Wisconsin's a really good team. Wisconsin is a really good team, but Iowa State played with that heart. They played with the fire. They didn't give up. When
Notre Dame,
Wisconsin took the lead at one point late in the second half, and Iowa State they pushed back and they held on to it. So
Notre Dame too. Notre Dame was winning, and Texas Tech just came in second half, and they started to do their thing. And it's funny how you mentioned Bergen Catholic kid from St. Peter's. There's a Bergen Catholic kid too on Notre Dame. He doesn't play. His name is Matt Zona, but he was teammates with Doug.
Interestingly, again about Matt Zona, I used to coach basketball back in the day. For St. Peter's CYO, So, John, thoughts is that I actually played against Matt Zona for CYO.
No way.
Yeah.
I coached. So Matt Zona went to the middle school that I coach baseball at.
Yep.
He lived in Blauvelt, and I coached him in Little League. And then he obviously went to Bergen, and haven't seen him since. But the man wore a size 15 shoe in
I gotta
eighth
be
grade.
listen.
Like, hello,
I gotta be real with you.
hello.
We were in the B division in 6th grade. Now,
Right.
and the kid was my height in 6th grade, 6 feet in 6th grade. The kid was massive. And by the time he was in 7th grade, they went to the A division. We went to the A division, and
It's crazy.
He's like 6'6" or 6'5" or something like that.
I think he's 6'5". I think he's 6'5".
Now that's not very big in college basketball. It's not small,
No.
but it's not. It's medium size, I should say.
Right.
But honestly, I thought that game wasn't even going to be close. Texas Tech, I think, is one of the really better teams that are left right now. They have a great defense.
I'll tell you what, though, Notre Dame had the playing game too, so don't think that their road was easy. They had the playing game, and they made it that far.
And Bama's a good team. Bama was a top 5 team at one point this year, and they beat them pretty handily in the first.
Yep. And then the next game was Miami Auburn, and like we talked about Auburn losing. Like Miami's a good team. I went to go see them play Duke, and Miami is a stifling team. They shoot the ball very well. Yep. They drive very well, and they got guys that do a little bit of everything, whether it's offensive rebounding, offensive kickouts, like guys cleaning up the glass to reset possessions.
Yep.
They're good. They are and they're a 10 seed.
I gotta be real with you. I thought I look at the team in Auburn, and it's hard for me to think that they weren't going to go anywhere. I mean, the biggest problem with Auburn, they were going to rely on their best player to get them there. And I mean, he didn't bring it. He went 3 for 16 from the field. He went 1 for 8 from 3. He had 10 points. He had 15 boards. He's the best player on the court. He's going to be probably a top 3 pick in the draft this year.
Well, if he comes out too.
But
that's the thing. That's the thing. You talk about it and you think about it. So like, how many kids? Like I know on Gonzaga, like a kid missed because of COVID, so like he got like a 60 year of eligibility to like play. So like, how many of these kids are thinking about like staying, or how many kids stayed and like they get to play in this? Like you have like some seasoned veterans in this tournament specifically, because like I remember years past and like we talk about like the Zion Williamsons and the John Morants, like the one and done type of year kids.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing the flashiness, but like we're also seeing the kids that have been here before and like just the veteran leadership of like what it takes to win games.
Yeah.
And it's funny how, you know, we talked about the 15 seed playing a 3 seed, but like Miami's a 10, they get to play Iowa State, which is an 11. Like that's going to be a clash.
Yeah, it should be a good game. I'm going to take Miami.
Awesome.
I'm going to take Miami in that game. I think their defense is really going to shut Iowa. I mean, they scored 79 against a really good Auburn team, and they held that team to 61 after Auburn scored 80 in the first game. They held Jabari Smith, who is one of the best college players in the league in the country, I should say.
Yeah.
To very poor shooting, very poor outing. I mean, he had a lot of rebounds, but he's the best player on the court, so it's hard for him to not grab rebounds there. But
I'm going to tell you another team that scares
game.
me.
Yeah,
another team that scares me, and it's not as scary because like they're good, but like Kansas is ranked 1, and they were stifled by Creighton. They only won by 6, and it was interesting because you're ranked 1 and like Creighton was a 9, and like you would have thought they would have towered them, and like Creighton gave them a run. Creighton's also known for shooting the basketball very well. Kansas basketball, like I don't know, like there's just something about that culture where I feel like they're not as good as their rank is. Now, like if we're talking Gonzaga, like again, like they're heavily favorited to win the whole thing, and we've talked about it from the beginning. I don't agree in which the conference that they play in. They played 5 nationally ranked teams all year. You know what? They did what they had to do. They had 1 loss. They beat everybody else in their conference. They were rewarded with a 1, whatever. But Kansas as a 1, I don't know. And the way that they've played, not so great. However, on the flip side of that, Michigan came through and beat Tennessee. And I liked Tennessee. I thought Tennessee was a fast, lightning team. They had 2 really good shooters on the guard end. The guys on the glass were cleaning up.
Their defense was great. Tennessee's defense in the first game. Now they played Longwood, but I mean Longwood won their conference and everything like that. That game, it was a 32-point win for Tennessee against Longwood. It wasn't even that close. The game, it was like a 40, 50-point blowout at one point. I don't know if it went to 50, but that game was never even close.
And then I mean,
And then they
like,
were held to 68 the next game. Maybe you can go to 88 to 68. It's hard, to play off that.
right.
I like
No,
Michigan. I like Michigan against Nova. Listen,
I like Michigan. I like Michigan.
Michigan to go to the Elite Eight, and they're going to play Arizona. I called it.
I didn't pick Michigan. I did not pick Michigan. I wasn't sold, and like again, they're an 11, but I wasn't sold.
That's Cinderella.
Well, it's not even that. So like you could think about it two ways. You can think about, were they seated properly? Okay, whatever with the COVID thing, or were they seeded wrong and like now they're just gonna like run the table as like a lower seed. Like either way, you think about it,
like anytime Syracuse is ranked lower than like 8.
Well, no, that's like fucking Michigan State. Speaking of which, Michigan State played.
That's their sweet spot. Is anytime Syracuse is ranked lower than like 8, they make it to the Final Four every year.
Well, no, that's the exact opposite. So when Michigan State is ranked 7 or below, they don't go far. But when they're ranked 8 and above, they go far. They ended up playing Duke, and they lost to Duke. But you had 2 phenomenal coaches.
That was a great game,
They were throwing.
Man.
Bro, I was on the edge of my seat, screaming, hooting, and hollering. Like, that's the school that, like, I root for. Like, I love Duke. And, like, I obviously picked the bracket for them to win. Like, we talked about how you picked them to win. And I was like, I cannot be a fan and not root for them at one point. So
it's fixed.
Obviously, went with my
the
gut.
fix is for Mike Krzyzewski.
I mean, hey, listen, Tom Izzo was a great coach at Michigan State. He gets the most out of his players, and being ranked 7 and going against a 2, you really did it. Now Duke has a really tough matchup, man. They got to play Texas Tech. They got to play Texas Tech, and if Duke can play and shoot the way they did in the first half, because it kind of got sloppy. And Banchero did not shoot the ball well in the second half. He was looking to facilitate it instead of take over.
Which,
that man needs to take over games.
I agree. Take over games. But so this is the way I feel about it. If you're not shooting well, first of all, you want a guy who could take over. You want a guy who could just score at will. This, that. Yes, it would be great, right? And I think Banchero can do that. But when you got a guy who knows he's not in a rhythm, but has the ability to facilitate and make other guys better and get other guys open, a la, now, of course, I'm not comparing the two, but same game as LeBron, he has nights where he's not on his top game, offensively.
Right.
So he finds ways to make his teammates better.
Shot. No, but okay, with that,
I don't know. Even though he didn't shoot well, he looked really good in the second half. Facilitating.
I would agree with you, but he shot lights out in the first half.
Yeah.
He hit back-to-back threes, came down with a bully move jumper from the elbow.
He's nasty, man. He's so good.
Bro, he scored 8 consecutive points, and then they stopped giving him the ball. And then all of a sudden, after they stopped giving him the ball, he got the ball and stopped shooting the basketball. Which, you know what? You want to look for the big man down low because Mark Williams is playing out of his fucking mind, dude. That kid is a treat. But
let me tell you something. The defense from Wendell Moore has been great, too. The guard play by him has been awesome.
Yeah, Roach.
Man. Their whole team, they looked good. They won by 9, and that game was a lot closer. They were losing. They were down 5 with like 45 seconds to go or a minute to go or something like that. They came back and won. They were good. I don't know, man. They seem to just have that it factor right now, and this is going to be a really good game, like you said. I think this will be one of the better games this weekend for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally, we talked about Gonzaga, and like Gonzaga is going to play Arkansas. And it's funny too, like Arkansas is ranked 4, but like how many times have they played spoiler this year and just have come through and have knocked off teams that they really shouldn't have been competing with? So if this was the game to smell upset, possibly, granted, Gonzaga is playing ridiculous sound basketball. Ridiculous.
I got to tell you though, Penny almost had him.
Almost.
They were close, man.
I told you. I told you. I said, you put Penny in the tournament, Memphis is going to be scary.
They looked really good, man. They did. And you know what, man? If Gonzaga doesn't have Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren, who is a fucking tree out there, dude's huge. He's got to be 7'1" or 7'2".
Man,
Chet Holmgren,
30, bro.
Drew Timme looks like he's 48 years old and a dad of 7.
Yeah, dude, for real.
But I mean,
for real,
they're very good, and it's gonna be really hard if your game is inside against them. That's just the end of it. If you're an inside team, Gonzaga's gonna beat you because they have 2 of the best big men in the country.
Arkansas does shoot the ball well, though. They do.
So
They do
that'll
shoot the
be
ball
the
well.
test.
So spacing would be
if you can
nice.
space against Gonzaga and you can shoot the ball. I mean, listen, if you can shoot the ball, you can beat any team.
Right.
You know,
I mean, listen, percentages don't lie. If you're
No.
shooting like 40-something% from three, you're
it's
probably
hard,
going
it's
to win
hard
the game.
lose. Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably going to win the game. I'll never forget when I was a senior in high school, we won the section and we went to go play the first round of regionals to go to like to states. We ended up facing a team. We ended up going up to, where did we go? I think we went to SUNY New Paltz to play Red Hook, which is a Section 9 team upstate.
Yeah.
Bro, I've never seen a high school basketball team shoot the three the way they did. They shot 50% from three. And like, that was just unheard of. They didn't miss that whole game. Then the next game that they played, they got blown out. Like, if you're on, you're on. And if you're not, obviously you're going to lose.
That's like in baseball, you talk about the home run. You hit home runs, you mash on the ball, you win the game. You don't mash the ball, you don't win the game.
We're gonna get to baseball. Don't worry.
We are.
Just take it back. And then listen. So just to wrap it up real quick, just to give a shout out, because listen, we're talking about NCAA men, but like also to give a shout out to the women. You have it here where it's the women's bracket also plays. So Michigan takes on Villanova in the men's, and Michigan also takes on Villanova in the women's, which is pretty cool.
Right?
You know,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
The seedings
the
are
women's
reversed,
are reversed.
Yeah.
The seedings are reversed.
It's Michigan's the 3 seed, Nova's the 11, and
in the women's
bracket. In the men's bracket, it's Michigan's the 11, Nova's the 2. So the women are a round behind, or they're actually a day behind, not a round. They're in the second day of their round 2. So
yes.
You also have here some just the tip info.
Just the tip info. Yes.
University of South Dakota upset the number 2 Baylor, and this is the first time Baylor's not making the Sweet 16 in 12 consecutive seasons. That's nuts.
That's
12
crazy.
seasons in a row. You go to the Sweet 16. First time you haven't done it. Listen,
well, I mean, listen.
I don't follow women's college basketball a ton, but I'm going to tell you right now, UConn was ranked as a 2 seed because they didn't play hot throughout the middle of the season. Gino Auriemma always puts out the best team on the court, and the reason they didn't play well midway through the season is because they lost one of the best players in college, Paige Beckers. She's nuts. She's one of the smoothest, silkiest ball players in women's college basketball as a freshman.
Yo, she's silky balls? What the shit?
Excuse me? No.
What the fuck?
She is a silky smooth basketball player. She shoots the ball. She drives to the basket. She's got great handles. She's got great vision, great point guard all around. She's healthy. They're back. They're going to win the tournament. Mark my words. Speaking of silky balls, I'm glad you bring that up because after watching college basketball all this weekend, my balls are feeling some type of way. I get hot. I get sweaty watching these games. I have anxiety, secondhand social anxiety for these guys. You know, sometimes when you lose, you get upset. But what you guys really need to be taking care of is your health and your hygiene. And Dr. Squatch is changing the way that men approach hygiene. They provide natural, healthy products that make you feel like a man and smell like a champion. Go check out their website at drsquatch.com, where they have a wide variety of products and bundles.
Hey, yo. Wow.
God, I should be paid for that. What do you think?
Dude, I think so. We need to have what we need to do is this is what we need to do. We need to have like a studio where it's me and you, and like I get like a nice mic. I get to like fuck around with it, sit on a nice fucking comfy chair.
You want nice equipment?
I would love to. Honestly, I'll sit in a folding chair for all I care. I just want like a nice studio. We'll have people come in. They'll give us the paper, tell us what to say. It would be nice. It would be.
We don't have to come up with the stuff anymore. They just tell us what to say.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, that would.
I'd be afraid to do that because then I'd be afraid I wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But then again, I really don't know what I'm talking about to begin with. So
also true. I feel like the pre-screening of like knowing what you're gonna say before actually saying it is nice because like you don't have to stutter, you don't have to like mispronounce something. You could practice it when it's on the fly.
We all
like
know
that,
it's important for you to practice what you say because we all know that you barely passed 8th grade ELA. You know,
bro, dude. Oh my god, it's awful. It's awful. So you
Future of America.
You poked it. Yeah, we're actually not about to dive into it. Do
you really want to do this?
Season.
Do you really want to do this?
I mean, listen.
Because I know now, those of you who don't know Jay Lamps like I do, I am in a text group with this man, and Polito's World, and Jay Lamps are all in a group chat together, and we're big Yankee fans, and I'm usually the voice of reason in the group chat. And let me tell you, between Eddie and Jay, the shit has hit the fan. I have joined it too because I am fed up with everything. But before we get to all that, we have a really important thing going on in New York City. So
we do.
New York City Now, we've talked about this with Kyrie Irving and basketball and everything like that. The new
It's the Kyrie
health,
rule.
the new mayor, actually, I'm sorry, not the new mayor. In general, New York City has this mandate where any private sector employees must be vaccinated in order to go to work in person if you work with other people. Okay, so private sector is almost any business.
All boroughs.
All boroughs of the city. You're talking about all sports teams. That's the Knicks, the Nets.
Can we pause?
The Lakers,
Do you know the 5 boroughs? Are we gonna talk about this real quick? Just to
Five
make sure
boroughs
you're
of
a real
death.
New
You don't
Yorker?
understand? You got New York City at the palm of my hand. If I can make it tight fist, let it come ridiculous. You know that song? That's a
No,
Papoose
but
song.
like I just went. What is it?
That's a Papoose song.
Okay, damn, I haven't heard that name's his fucking middle school. Okay, holy shit.
You got the Bronx,
Wow.
Manhattan, Queens, Long Island, and Staten Island.
There you go, my guy.
Come on,
There
baby.
You go. There you go.
I'm from New
There you
York,
go.
Papa. What do you
That's
want from
it.
me?
That's it. Okay.
Anyhow,
okay.
I will move on after I was quizzed like an uncultured swine.
Not even to say that you were uncultured and like it was a quiz, but like a lot of people back at home, I'm not gonna out here throwing names at people, but like sometimes they don't know like anything about like geography, and like me being in particular, like I don't know anything past like the East Coast, so people just gotta know sometimes. That's it.
All right, let me hit you with the.
Okay, hit me with it.
Let me hit you with the lyric.
Now we're diving. We're diving.
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
with it. Well, let's go, dude.
Hold on. It was from Touch It. Remember Touch It? Touch it, bring it, babe.
Oh yeah, watch it, turn it, leave it, top-o-matic. Yeah.
It's Brooklyn, by the way. I'm sorry, I have one wrong. It's not Long Island. It's Brooklyn. It's Staten Island and Brooklyn. Anyway,
Staten Island, Brooklyn.
Staten Island on my pinky.
I honestly thought you said Brooklyn. To be fair,
I didn't. I got Staten Island on my pinky, Queens on my thumb, dude. The Bronx on my middle finger, screaming "fuck you." Rock ice in Manhattan. So there's the ring finger. You know I had to keep Brooklyn on the trigger finger.
Yeah. No, I heard it.
5 boroughs of death. You don't understand?
Time.
I got New York City in the palm of my hand. Now I can make it tight fist and let it crumble ridiculous, or I can smack the world with a New York nemesis.
I think we need to close out to that. Like that's kind of.
Oh my god, what nuts! Anyway, those are the 5 boroughs. Thank you, Papoose. I learned my 5 boroughs when I was in middle school. New York City has a vaccination rule that any private sector workers must be vaccinated if you work in person with other people. And as we've noticed with Kyrie Irving, he is not vaccinated and he cannot work with his team in a private sector business as the Brooklyn Nets. That has led to him missing all home games. And here's the other thing. It doesn't just mean you can't work inside. It means you can't work in New York City in general. That was changed. That wasn't always the rule. The rule last year was if you're not vaccinated, you can't be inside. Or you have to like be masked or whatever, this, that, the other thing. Outgoing Mayor Bill de Blasio Dick, December 27th, that's like weeks prior to him leaving office.
Right.
He implemented a new mandate that any person working, no matter indoors, outdoors, there's no stipulation that says anything about the locale of which you're working. As long as you are in New York City, you must be vaccinated if you work for a private sector business. If you are not allowed to work. In mid-February, over 1,400 people lost their jobs in the city of New York because they are not vaccinated. Now, this has led to Kyrie Irving missing time. This will lead to Yankees and Mets players missing time if they are not vaccinated. Now, Aaron Judge like tiptoed around it, like he didn't want to say if he was vaccinated or not. Anthony Rizzo last year was not vaccinated as much as we knew. So he was also asked recently how this would affect his season. He said it wasn't going to be an issue. So it sounds like he's either gotten vaccinated or is planning to get vaccinated. But for the Yankees, this is not just your 81 home games. They play 12 games in Toronto as well. So in order to travel to Canada, you must be vaccinated. Doesn't matter if you're traveling for work, business, home, pleasure, jerking off, just going to hop the border and play in Niagara Falls. It doesn't matter. You must be vaccinated. So that's 12 games where the Yankees play the Blue Jays, and they cannot play in those games either. So that would be 93 total games for Yankees alone, plus the 81 that Mets would play. That's more than 50%.
That's wild. That's wild.
So that leaves.
You talk about, but really quick,
how many does that leave? That leaves 54 games.
Yep.
Right? No.
So going 54 and 93.
I have to do the math in my head now. 93. 162 minus 90 is 53 plus another
69.
Yeah, 69. That was really bad math. I'm sorry.
So, but hear me out. So 69 and 93, that ain't getting you a fucking
No way.
Hello. So I have
I mean,
a couple of theories.
you're not going to
that we're
lose your
talk
93
about.
games if you're not. I mean, you're not going to lose them, but I understand what you're saying.
But so okay, so you mentioned 1,400 people lost their jobs, right? So 1,400 people. Now we're talking about everybody. We're not talking about just the businessmen. We're talking about police officers, nurses, doctors, firemen, and it's crazy. So like I heard on the radio the other day, in this one firehouse, there was like maybe 30 people that got let go because they weren't vaccinated, and they were given the choice to get vaccinated as to a certain date or not. And like,
they had like 2 or 3 weeks to at least get the first vaccine.
But like now, so like here's the thing with this. This is the problem. So like they said no and they didn't. So what they did was, of those 30 people, they got replaced with 30 people. Now, if this mandate ends up getting lifted, which I don't think it's going to, but if it does, these 30 people cannot go back to their job because it was already filled. So like you can't be on one side of the fence and then flop to the other side and like play this fucking ping pong game. Like you need to figure it out. Now, I also don't agree with, and we've talked about this a handful of times, and I'm going to tell you how it can relate to baseball at some point. I don't agree with the fact that Kyrie Irving could go into the Barclay and sit courtside, okay, but cannot put on a uniform and play basketball on the court. He can sit courtside, but cannot play basketball. Mind you, he was fined $50,000 for entering the locker room for breaking the code.
But working, quote, working. I go in the locker room. That's a workspace.
But again, okay, fair. So again, I mean, you're a part of the team, but can't do team things. Mind you, he can participate in shoot around. He can participate in practice.
Because you don't get paid to go to practice. It's in your contract that you must go to practice, but you only get paid when you play games.
When you play games. So it's like, I don't know. Then you talk about, okay. Then you talk about going to Toronto. So if you're a Blue Jay, you are sitting here licking your chops and laughing. You have the ultimate home field advantage. Why? Players that are not vaccinated cannot go to Canada. Now, in baseball, there are 9 guys, 10 guys that bat, plus you have like your pitchers that you'll see and face whatever. But if you're not seeing a stud ace that's supposed to throw that day, or if you're not seeing the middle of a heart of a lineup come because they can't get into the country because they're not vaccinated, you're majority of the time probably going to win those games. So now Toronto players, Blue Jay players, have to be fully vaccinated to play. So they're not much of a concern. I think that's bullshit. I think it should be a fair playing ground no matter what. Mind you, they played in Florida and they played in Buffalo last year until September came, where the rules started to break and change, and then they went back to Toronto. Everybody should come down here. It's a United States thing. We have one team that's an outlier on the outside. It's not like we have 2, where we used to have Montreal and then we had Toronto. It's one team. You should come back, and everybody should have an even playing field to play in the States. That's number 1. Number 2, listen to this. I have a theory. And how fucking crazy would this be? This would break the backs of Yankee fans. The Yankees turn around and listen, the way that they've been spending money and doing these bonehead trades and like running an organization, they don't have the fucking marbles and they don't have the brain cells to figure this out. But if I was to run the team, I'd laugh. Why? You stay in the state of Florida. You do not come back home. You play all of your games at George Steinbrenner Field, okay, where it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. You can then go travel to away games where other states do not have the New York State rule. You play with everybody, and you know what they're saying at this point? Fans will come. If you have season tickets, we're sorry. Other fans will come down south to come watch us play, and F the New York rule. Thoughts on that? What do you think?
I mean, it would be fucking crazy if they were to do some shit like that.
I'll tell you something right now. I would write. I won't even write. I would literally have no shirt on. I'd be out of a sunroof with a megaphone, and I would be literally screaming my effing head off in New York City. Screaming. I want like a meeting with the mayor. No lie, if that was to happen.
So
because this guy's an idiot.
Apparently Hal and Randy Levine are working with the mayor. But then again, the same thing came out when Kyrie Irving, they were trying to figure that out. So here's the issue. if the mandate was going to be lifted, they had to try to lift that before they fired 1,500 people. You said.
I agree. Yeah.
Because they can't lift the mandate now, because then what are they going to do with all these people they got rid of their jobs?
Right. Right. And this is
So
only
they
and
dropped the
and
ball
this
on
is
that
only,
completely.
This is only a New York City thing. This is not a New York
Right.
State thing. So if you wanted to as well, and if you wanted to stay in the state of New York, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but you can go out and play in Buffalo. It's been done. They don't have the New York City mindset or rules as far as being vaccinated or not.
Yep.
I just think that there is so much going on with this. And, at the time, it was like, let's lower the curve. 2 weeks, we'll lower the curve, do the right thing, wear a mask, stay at home, don't spread, all this stuff. And it was like, get vaccinated, do the right thing. And like, you gave people a choice. Now it's not so much of a choice where it's like, fucking do it, or you're not going to get paid, or you're not going to be able to play. I don't know about all that. I just think it's kind of
yeah,
it's kind of wild. Yo, are you like, do you need oxygen? Like, are you dying? Like, hello?
I don't know. I'm fine,
Bro,
I think, for now.
Holy shit. Listen, if I need to do this solo and you got to turn the camera off, like, I'm ugly enough, but like I tell you all the time, I got a radio voice, so like I'm in it to win it.
I got a little Mick tickle in my throat. I don't know what's going on, dude, but it's fine.
Shit,
I'm
dude.
good. I got my coffee. I got my macchiato, dude. I'm set.
All right. So like we talked about the whole COVID bullshit, and like we kind of
I'm over that. Listen, in my opinion, the mandate's not going to be an issue. How many Yankee players is it? Is it one? Is it two? Aaron Judge is not going to.
That's the thing too. Like, no one's going to tell you. So like,
well, we'll find out opening day who's on the lineup and who's not.
We will. But listen, hold on. So here's the thing. And I'm trying to like give like a good example on how this goes down. Okay, so during the football season, right? And football and basketball and baseball, obviously different sports. They have different owners and like different GMs, all this stuff, and different rules in a sense. But again, there's sports played within states that have certain rules, whatnot. So again, the Bills play in Buffalo.
Yep.
And Cole Beasley played for the Bills at the time, doesn't play for them anymore, but played for the Bills at the time, and said that he was not vaccinated. So he did testing every day. He wore a mask. He did all of the right things and was a very key component for this Bills team because he was their third down slot guy. If they needed to get a first down, they're going to Cole Beasley.
He had a great year.
Go-to.
He had a very good
great year. Great year. So there's that. Now, I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, but I don't believe Russell Wilson is vaccinated, if I heard this correctly.
I don't know.
So if Russell Wilson is not vaccinated and hasn't like announced he's not vaccinated, like Aaron Judge type of thing, they're not announcing if they are or they're not. It's their business. Like nobody should have to know. It goes under the HIPAA law. Like nobody has to know my medical history unless it's written down somewhere where it's like in the baseball, like they don't check now, which is stupid too. They don't check for steroids, but like in the thing, like it would be like checking for steroids, checking for performance enhancing drugs, checking for, in the NFL used to be marijuana, like whatever. You don't have to know my business. Or the third option, you could be like Kyrie, state this and try to make your own laws and rules and then get on the back end of punishment. It's, you're dealing with a three-headed beast that nobody really knows like what head to attack first. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. The way I feel about it, I think the guys, if they're like Aaron Judge is not gonna miss 81 games of a season. He's just not. He's not gonna
get extended, signed, whatever. And that's the other thing too.
So
I'll tell you something right now.
If he's not vaccinated, he'll figure that part out. I believe
they'll figure it out. I mean, like I said, when money becomes a thing and you're missing out on money, like, I mean, for Kyrie, I guess I don't really know how much it doesn't matter.
But he's in a lot of a different boat. He made hundreds of millions of dollars already.
Oh yeah. So you're talking about a young guy, but then you're also talking about veteran guys that are not getting paid. So like, I guess it matters depending on who you are in a sense. Superstar versus average Joe.
Right. Now,
talking about superstars and average Joes, I mean, we can go to like the signings and like who goes where.
So superstars and average Joes. This feels like the Yankees are signing up to be average Joe's gym this year, in comparison to the Purple Cobras that are 1 through 3 in their division.
Do you want to know why? You want to know why? Because Average Joe's Gym does not collect any money, so Hal gets to keep it all. But if you go to Globo Gym, they want money up front. They have everything you need, and they don't have spelling lessons because that motherfucker spells it WHIT. White.
Could've
That's
been.
it.
All right,
That's
dude.
it.
So, some Yankees news. I mean, we'll talk about the big signings and we'll dive deep into the Yankees news. Freddie Freeman went to LA. That's huge for LA. I listen. I don't know what to say about the Dodgers. They're the best team in baseball, and if they don't win, they just choke like they've done. They've won one World Series in however long, and it was in the COVID year. And I don't know, man. I don't know how they can get any better. It's insane. Their pitching staff from top to bottom is full of studs. Their lineup is one of the best in history. It's nuts.
Wait, really quick though. They won the World Series, and after they won the World Series, it came out that Justin Turner played with COVID that game and won the World Series, and then like nobody really gave a shit because LA won the World Series. But like we're gonna talk about COVID for like years to come. But like just so everybody remembers, Justin Turner had COVID, played a whole World Series game, had a major impact, hit a home run that game, and we're talking about what? Hello? Okay.
So
continue.
Matt Olson was traded to the Braves. That was huge. We talked about that last week. We talked about why the Yankees couldn't go after him. It was going to cost too much. It didn't make sense.
But listen. They gave up a lot. The Braves, they did. They gave up a lot. However, for the amount of money in which you signed him for,
it's a good deal.
Phenomenal deal.
It's a good deal. Yeah. Listen. The Braves made a great deal. They made a great trade, man. It was a lot in terms of prospects, and the Yankees. Yeah. So
they gave up two. They gave up 4 of the top 15 prospects they had, which is a lot.
They gave up 2 of their top 5.
Yeah, 2, 3, 9, 14.
Yeah, man, they gave up a lot. So I'm on the fence about how I felt about the Matt Olson trade. Overall, I was okay that they didn't grab him, considering how much the Braves gave up.
I agree. But with the money aspect of it, you think about
you were like you're salivating at the amount of mony that they didn't give. I mean, at 168 is a lot, but for 8 years. It's broken down very well. By the way, Yankees didn't make that trade. They didn't want to give up like Volpe or Peraza or whatever. I was reading today that Anthony Volpe, everybody seems to think that he is the second coming on the field. Now, I've not watched him play. I have not seen highlights
the other day. He's clean, bro.
So Anthony Volpe, from what I understand, bat third in one of the better U.S. teams that they put together in recent history. So that's interesting. Maybe we should hang our hats on this Anthony Volpe kid. Listen, I don't know. We'll see. Kyle Schwarber, he's fucking not that good in my opinion. He's a great bat. He's fucking literally average in every other spot, even below average. He goes to the Phillies. Nick Castellanos goes to the Phillies also. They have a nice lineup. They got a couple of nice bats in Philly, man. I'll tell you that.
Big bats.
Carlos
Correa, I believe.
Yeah, Odubel Herrera. But I saw somebody on Twitter says, I'd rather see Shane Victorino come back than Odubel Herrera come.
Yikes. They got Bryce Harper too, bro.
Bryce Harper, MVP last year. So that's that. The Blue Jays traded for Matt Chapman. They have
they are fucking dangerous.
So Matt Chapman,
whole infield.
Hear me out. Matt Chapman, excellent third baseman.
Yeah,
he's like a slightly above average hitter. He's not
sure.
He is not strictly defense, but he's like a 20 home run guy. He's not going to hit you 35, 40. So in terms of increasing their lineup potential, it does because they didn't have a third baseman. But he is a whiz at third, like probably top 2 or 3 in the league at third.
They have the best. Okay, I don't really care. They have the best lineup in the AL East, whether it's on the field or batting. Don't care. Matt Chapman doesn't have to hit home runs and whatnot because you have the big boy at first base.
They have Vlad. They have Hernandez. They have Springer.
Bro, did you watch the game yesterday? I watched the highlight of the spring training game.
I mean, I saw the bomb that Vlad hit.
Obliterated this baseball out of the stadium. Like, I'm pretty sure it's still going. That's how fucking hard and far he hit it.
Oh
my god!
So they're
good.
They'll be good.
Listen,
the AL East is going to be a slugfest. Hot take.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Hot take.
Rays finish 4th. How many years can we do this with the Rays? where they don't have major
Nah, man.
on paper talent.
Nah, man.
How many
Done.
years can we
No.
keep doing this with the Rays with their on paper talent? They have done nothing other than add Corey Kluber, and he's going to give you a half a season of good pitching, and that's it.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you something right now, and I'll tell you why that they're not the fourth, and they're definitely the third in this division, because the Yankees sit fourth swimmingly.
Ah,
Hey,
no, I'm going to tell you right
Baltimore-
now. Hear me out.
I'm listening.
I think 1 through 4. I mean, it can go anywhere, right? It can go anywhere.
It could. It could.
These teams could finish within 3 games of each other, all 4 of them. I really think that could truly happen. I think
You would pay and love to see it, because then you know what happens is that Hal Steinbrenner sits in his fat office chair and is laughing at everybody who doubted him in the offseason, because he's like, hey, listen, we're in a fucking pennant race here and we didn't make many moves.
so. You have to look at it. So I'm gonna pull rosters up, and on paper, the 4 teams are really not that far away from each other. They're really not. They're really not. And honestly, on paper, I think the Red Sox have the worst team on paper out of the 4 teams. They have a very mediocre pitching staff. They lost Eduardo Rodriguez.
They look at, yeah.
Chris Sale's hurt. Always hurt. Hasn't been dominant for years now.
Nope.
I don't know. Listen, they could even end up 4th. Honestly, I don't think the Yankees are going to end up 4th. I think right now we want to say that they're going to be 4th because they haven't made any updates or roster moves.
But nothing though. Like they traded Gio Urshela, a phenomenal third baseman, and a catcher in Gary Sanchez, who we knew had to be moved. Like, he's just horrendous back there, which is fine.
I'm going to tell you right now, in terms of question marks, like, I'm talking like, I don't know what I'm going to get out of him at this particular time. The only real question mark, I think, is in the catcher spot. You're going to get good defense out of those 2 guys. Higashioka is above average defensively. This Rortvedt guy is supposed to be phenomenal defensively.
If he plays, he's hurt.
If he plays, all right. So you get mediocre from Higashioka. You bat 220, 230, and you knock me in 10 or 15 home runs if this Rortvedt guy never plays, which is not going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he never plays, okay, Higashioka does not normally have to catch every day, so you're going to have to bring in like a Brantley.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Is like 40.
Nobody catches every day anymore. You need a second catcher for sure.
You do, and you also, like, I'm going to throw a question mark too on third base. You know, Josh Donaldson has been plagued by injuries from time and time again. He's not the Josh Donaldson of the Blue Jays.
So this is
what
I'm going to say about the Josh Donaldson.
7 years ago, they literally hang their hat on he was an MVP, former MVP. My guy, that was 7 years ago.
If you look at Josh Donaldson's
get out of the
stats,
past.
And you look at his career stats, right? Last couple of years. Outside of the COVID year where he played 28 games. He played 135 games last year for the Twins. 155 in 2019. 2018, excuse me, he was hurt. Played 52 total. But he played 113, 155, 158, 158, 158. So over the last 3 years, and COVID year, he played half the games. So, but that was a weird year. A lot of people didn't play a lot of games. A lot of people were hurt. There wasn't a lot of conditioning going on. He played. Now, 135 is not a full season, right? But it's not awful. I mean, listen, he missed 25 games. He missed a handful of games in his year with Atlanta. If he gives me 140 games or 130 even, he's great defensively. He really is very good.
No, he is good.
His swap off with Gio Urshela is not a big difference. He's got a cannon of an arm. He can move to his left, move to his right. If he hits me 25, 30 home runs, gives me 80. I mean, he'll have more opportunities for RBIs because, I mean, the Yankees are a better team. They have guys who could get on base more than the Twins. The Twins are terrible, right? I don't know.
Are they?
Well, I mean, now they've signed Carlos Correa. Whoop-de-doo. They got one guy who can fucking hit the ball on their whole fucking team.
I mean, listen, Byron Buxton stays healthy. You know,
that's a big question mark, isn't it?
It is, but listen,
he's the bigger question mark to stay healthy than Josh Donaldson, in my opinion.
Fair. That guy's made of glass. But on paper, okay, Byron Buxton, you get Gio Urshela to hit, play a phenomenal third base. Carlos Correa plays shortstop, can hit. Sano plays
average
first base, sometimes
he can
DH.
mash it, but he can't fucking
Gary
hit,
Sanchez.
He doesn't hit for average.
Gary
Same
Sanchez
thing.
is going to be their DH. He can mash. He doesn't hit for average. They got guys.
The Twins
They
have a
got
Twins
guys.
team. They're going to hit home runs, and they're
Yeah.
not going to get on base, and they have a fucking shite pitching staff.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But
see that.
listen,
You're
their
right.
lineup is not nothing. I'm not going to say it's nothing. They have some bats. They definitely do.
Yeah.
But this kind of Falefa dude on the Yankees, he's going to bring better defense than we've seen at shortstop in a long fucking time.
Fair.
Like, Didi Gregorius played great defense, but his
Yeah.
metrics were average. He was average shortstop.
He was only good
Kiner-
because he lefty in Yankee Stadium.
Well, yeah. This kind of Falefa kid, he is a gold glove. He's a phenomenal shortstop. And,
Right. No, that wasn't the question of being the bad of the
well,
I guess the bad trade.
his,
However,
his
the
batting
long run
average
of it is the problem.
he bat 270 last year and 280 the year before that.
Right. No, and it's not the fact that they went to go get that kid as they were never going to, I guess, quote unquote, sign the big name. They wanted a stopgap because they have the young talent to come up and fill that spot. However,
and honestly, I look
looks,
at this Falefa dude, and he could fill the LeMahieu role in 2 or 3 years when Volpe comes up.
Fair.
I mean, that's what it looks like that to me that they're trying to do.
I mean, if he could win a Silver Slugger like DJ can, then yeah, I would agree with that. But like
DJ is a very exceptional baseball player. Here's my take on the Yankees in full. You look at their roster top to bottom, and you look at the season they had last year. 2 players had a good year. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton had a good year.
Carried.
They put the team on their back, and they pushed them to the playoffs. And I mean, they lost in the first round, but neither here nor there. Their pitching staff was rock solid up until about August, right?
Yeah, and then the wheels fell off of everybody.
Okay, they were also massively plagued by injuries last year. Luke Voit
that's
was
the
hurt.
case for all of them.
But no.
year.
Well, the Yankees, they've dealt with injuries the last couple of years. They have.
Bad.
If LeMahieu, one, can stay healthy and hit,
Yeah.
I mean, if he can return to even a little bit of the form he had in the COVID year and the year prior, I mean,
my God, dude.
he becomes the best hitter on the team outside of Aaron Judge.
Automatic.
I mean, Anthony Rizzo, a full season in Yankee Stadium. What can he bring? He played pretty decent down the stretch. Gleyber Torres doesn't have to worry about defense now. Worry about hitting, hit the ball out of the yard, get on base. Yeah. I mean, there's real potential with this team. I mean,
it's not the fact of not getting anybody.
2021 and look at this team and what you could have top to bottom. Donaldson could be a really good hitting third baseman. LeMahieu, Rizzo, Torres, Joey Gallo hit me 220 and knock me fucking 45 home runs, brother. Aaron Judge can bat 280 or 290 and hit 40 to 45 home runs. Same thing
the problem with this is you keep mentioning LeMahieu. When is he playing? Where is he playing? Because you have too many infielders now, number one. And it's not the fact that they don't have a good team. Like it's a returning team, and you added 2 newer pieces at the catching and third base position. Yes. But I'm sorry, 3: shortstop, catcher, and third base. If you want to call Higgy like the new player, but I was more talking about
Redpit.
Yeah. But the problem is it's how it looks and how it's ran and how it's
optics.
Developed.
It's awful because you have so many people that you could have signed and you didn't. And you had the needs in those spots.
But you're not answering questions when questions are asked. And then you're also crying poor, saying that you lost a lot of revenue because of the COVID thing, but your organization
Join the club,
probably your organization is worth $5.25 billion, and the
Yankees are the highest profitable team in baseball, and they have they've been for years.
Out of control.
I mean, it looks terrible. It really does.
It does.
So in years past, you look at teams like when Bryce Harper was a free agent, you look at them and you're like, oh, you really wish you could have Bryce Harper, but there was no need for Bryce Harper at the time. You had Judge, Stanton, Hicks, Gardner. You had 4 really good outfielders when Bryce Harper was a free agent 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
This year was different. yeah, you had Luke Voigt, but nobody really thought Luke Voigt had that job locked down, and you had solid first baseman on the market, right? You had Freddie Freeman, who it turned out he didn't want to come to New York anyway. They weren't really on the table.
Right.
But you had Matt Olson available, right? You have
but
shortstop.
Again, makes sense you didn't get him. Makes sense.
Right. So, all right. So the first base issue, we always thought Rizzo was the guy coming back, and it turns out he was.
Right. We knew that. But the only problem with this is now you talk about the shortstop position. So if Anthony Volpe is going to be the guy, then like that's great. But the problem with this is now two things. The first part is, listen, Trevor Story got paid. I don't know what Trevor Story is outside of Coors Field. I knew DJ LeMahieu was going to be outside of Coors Field.
6 for 140. You can have Trevor Story for that. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. And that wasn't.
Get your money,
that was not the plan. That was not the plan. However, the Carlos Correa signing is interesting because he signed a 3-year deal with the first year opt out. So if he has a phenomenal year, he opts out and then cashes the fuck in. So that's that part of it. The second part of it is this. You have a young man in the minors. Okay. He's not even a major leaguer. He's in the minors, and he has so much pressure riding on him to be that guy. So if he gets
we've seen this before
and goes 0 for 4 and Yankee Stadium, because you know how Yankee fans are, and boo the absolute shit out of him, everybody boos the shit out of Stanton. That man can handle it. You're going to boo the shit out of a 20-year-old kid? That's a problem.
One guy who didn't even have a lot of expectations coming up. One guy came up in the last couple of years out of 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 guys, right? Gary Sanchez came up, played fine in his rookie season, up and down for the rest of his career as a Yankee. Gleyber Torres came up, had a great first year with the Yankees. Insane. Should have been the rookie of the year. Hadn't had the numbers to be rookie of the year. Up and down since then. Miguel Andujar came up with Gary Sanchez at around the same time. He had a great year. Or he came up with Gleyber Torres, I'm sorry. He had a great first year. Up and down since then. The only guy who has come up through the system and has continued success has been Aaron Judge. Now, it turns out that Aaron Judge is an otherworldly talented baseball player, and he's one of the top 5 players in the league. They have a terrible track record of keeping their prospects and having them flourish. They really do. I mean, Gleyber Torres, when he came over from the Cubs, was one of the top 5 prospects in baseball. He had his first year with the Yankees. He looked great, and he's hit the shit. Same thing with Sanchez. Best catching prospect since Posada. He had one good year. Yeah. Same thing with Andujar.
2017, 2016. This is not that. Those are not those. Those years are way behind us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, these guys had incredible potential. Gary Sanchez, people thought he was going to be the best catcher in baseball.
I know. It just didn't pan out.
Well, I mean, what about all the pitching prospects that they've ever had? None of them ever pan out.
No. But I will say, it's funny you mentioned pitching prospects. Crazy. So they have Caprillion. James Caprillion plays for Oakland.
Oakland now. He was one of their...
He was one of their pitching
prospects. Pitched like shit in New York as a rookie. Moved over to Oakland. Looks great. Yep.
And I'll tell you something right now, too. That's going to be a team that's going to be dangerous in the next couple of years. They got They got all this. But listen, I'm telling you. Listen,
they're going to be okay, and then they're going to sell everybody off again, like they always do.
Which is what they're going to do because they don't pay. And I get it, but you want to play the Moneyball thing for like maybe 2 to 3 years when you're not paying anybody and like this is like the unit you're going with. They might make a run, you never know. And then when it's time to having to either pay them or either trade them to get other lower values, that's what they're going to do. It's a major league team, but built on a minor league system. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. Listen, we're kind of like over like the time in which
way over
for. So your call on how you want to do this.
I'm going to zoom through basketball. I'm going to say like a sentence in total about basketball right now. We're going to get really hot on basketball very soon. It's almost playoff time. Once March Madness is over.
I think we do this. I think with this March Madness be over, we really dive into NBA. And
we're going to get into playoffs at that point. Hard. Yeah, I agree.
And then the NFL will slide back into like where the March Madness slot was in a sense.
Couple of big news notes. Zion not coming back this season, playing for the Pelicans. Dame's not coming back this season, playing for the Blazers.
Future Nick. You think so? I'm telling you.
Jamal Murray, point guard for the Nuggets. No updated timetable. He's not close to a return. That's big news for the Nuggets, who have now dropped to 6th in the conference. They don't want to drop into 7th as a play-in team. Actually, they are 7th because Minnesota jumped them recently. No Knicks news because they're dog shit. They should stop winning. They should just cancel the season.
Basura.
Nets, Kyrie dropped 60 against the Nuggets. He could have probably dropped 70 or 80 if he played the whole game. He got taken out with 8 minutes left. The Magic got blown out. They was like 150 to like 100.
Oh my God.
Still no update on Ben Simmons. He's not close to a return. The Nets are still trying to get up to that 60. They do not want to play against the Raptors in a playing game because if they have to play the Raptors in a playing game, they will be without Kyrie Irving, whether it's in New York or in Toronto. So that's a big deal. Lakers, 2.5 games up on the Spurs for the last play-in spot. I told you this was going to happen. LeBron can't do it all. He's the best player we've ever seen play in our generation. He can't. AD can't come back soon enough. He needs help. Moving on to NFL. Couple quick hitters.
A lot of moves. Quick hitters though, but there's a whole lot to dive into.
I do want to dive into the Deshaun Watson thing for like a few minutes. But we'll talk like main things real quick. Allen Robinson goes to LA. He's gonna wear number 1. In a requisite move, the Rams trade Robert Woods to the Titans for a 6th-round pick. Don't hit me with that's undervalued. He's coming off an ACL. He's 31 years old. Could they have gotten a 5th? Maybe. Amari Cooper was traded for a 5th and a swap of 6th. So, and he's miles better than Robert Woods. Jameis Winston is back in New Orleans. Falcons, I said they signed Mariota. Did I say that? Or did I didn't say that yet? Anyway, now the Falcons signed Marcus Mariota because they traded Matt Ryan to the Colts for a 3rd-round pick today, 2022 3rd-round pick. Colts odds move up, I think, significantly, in my opinion.
Yes.
Matt Ryan, I think, talent-wise, is very similar to Carson Wentz, but has been there and has had the playoff experience. This is a good move for the Colts, I think.
Yep.
Jaguars made like 7 million moves in the first week. I think they overpaid a lot of guys. They overpaid for Christian Kirk. They paid him. He's getting like 81, 85, $4 million or something like that.
Bro, what's the average height of the guys that they play?
Like 5'8" or 5'9" or something like that.
Small unit. They're gonna go. It's like running the floor in basketball with a small squad. That's what it is.
Aaron Rodgers puts pen to paper. 2 years.
Yep.
Now he doesn't get 150 million in 2 years, but his first 2 years are guaranteed. And his 3rd year is an option, but his option year is guaranteed money if he accepts it. It's $150 million. And in requisite to that,
2 days later,
Devontae Adams gets traded to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 1st and a 2nd. Don't hit me with
this year's draft.
Don't hit me with they got way more for Devontae. Devontae Adams is a generational wide receiver.
They got fleeced straight up.
The Raiders or the Packers?
The Packers got fleeced.
That's a lot. First and a 2nd is a lot for I'm telling you, man. The NFL does not value draft picks way different than the NBA or the MLB. I'm telling you.
See, I don't agree with that only because the way that the Raiders are
Matt Ryan, who is a top, like maybe a tier or 2 below the top guys in like that maybe above average tier, only got a 3rd-round pick for him. But the way picks are valued in the NFL is wild. It's so different than what you might think.
Matt Ryan is a different tier than like a Russell Wilson, and like Denver fucking gave up the house.
But Denver,
for an older quarterback.
Listen, I'm telling you, picks are weird, man.
What did the Browns give up for Amari Cooper?
A 5th and a swap of 6ths.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. Like Amari Cooper's up there.
I still think that they should have got at least 2 first round. At least. And like Deshaun Watson too. Like Deshaun Watson got a shit ton of stuff.
Again, you're looking at a quarterback.
I understand.
When was the last time you saw an NFL team win a Super Bowl without a top flight quarterback? You can't off the top of your head.
No.
Right?
No.
That's my point.
Yeah, no.
Without a quarterback, you have nothing.
I mean, to be fair, maybe the Eagles with like Nick Foles, who just balled out of his mind, but like we don't know where Nick Foles is anymore.
Exactly. So it doesn't happen often. That's one time in the last 10 or 15 years you can tell me about off the top of your head.
Well, the only reason why he got traded too was because he wasn't playing on the franchise tag. So like he was just like F all y'all, I'm out.
Well, it turns out he was offered the same contract as he took with the Raiders. He was he was done altogether with the whole organization.
I get it. I
completely understand. Hope you enjoy your money, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with it because Aaron Rodgers signed his contract. He knew what was going on. He signed his contract anyway.
Right.
Von Miller to the Bills. Listen, 6 years, 140 million or something like that.
Keep it.
You can have that.
You can have that.
Rams can't afford that. You guys can take Von Miller. Julio Jones cut. Does he go to Green Bay? Maybe. Giants are in full rebuild mode. Shocker. They've signed a lot of offensive linemen.
They have.
The Bengals have signed a lot of offensive linemen. Lyle Collins, Alex Kappa, a lot of big linemen going to the Bengals. Dallas is on the decline. I don't know what the fuck Dallas is doing, but Philly and Washington, they're not going to be messed with this year. This is going to be like not high level like football being played, but those three teams are going to battle for first. You watch.
While Uncle Jerry still owns the team, I think that the wheels start to fall off. You're going to see it's just going to get bad. It's going to get real ugly, real bad, real fast. It's going to just be like the Dak Prescott drama, the Zeke Elliott going to get back into some drama. You had Randy Gregory was supposed to sign a deal with them, and then the next day came out and said, "I'm
going to the Broncos."
So yeah,
same contract.
It's bad. And you had a star wide receiver in Amari Cooper who you traded. It's just bad.
You re-signed Michael Gallup?
Michael Gallup, which is I don't know, man.
Since people have been speaking about Michael Gallup, I still don't get it.
I drafted him in the later rounds of fantasy because he's like good for points at some point.
But you do the eye test with these guys. Put Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper in front of you. Like, it's not even close.
No,
Cooper's a very much so significantly better wide receiver than Gallup. I don't understand it.
I still think that the East, as far as like who wins, like the Giants will be dead last, and like
the whole division's bad. You saw
but you have Philly. You have Philly now in Washington. They're going to be like the battle of like the scrum, basically.
Yeah.
And then you can hit us with the Deshaun Watson thing before we close out.
Listen, this whole Deshaun Watson thing is rubbing me the wrong way. I don't like it. So trading for a guy with all this shit going on, fine. Giving him a contract, even so, it's okay. What I'm not okay with, first of all, is the way they've structured his contract. So they have structured the Cleveland Browns have guaranteed $230 or $40 million to Deshaun Watson over the next 5 years.
Right.
That's a lot of money. It's the most guaranteed money in NFL history by a lot. Right. Because Aaron Rodgers was guaranteed $150. That was the most last week.
Yeah.
So this is another $80 million that's being guaranteed to Deshaun Watson. But $1 million is his base contract for next season. That's atrocious. That's awful because they know, and Deshaun Watson has to know, he's going to take some sort of a suspension next year for the way he was involved with all this nonsense. Right?
Yep. 22 allegations.
Women come out with allegations. Now there was no criminal activity. There's not enough evidence for him to go to trial, essentially, is what that means. But that doesn't mean he didn't do anything wrong. Listen, if it was one person, you say, okay, maybe they're out for the money. But 22 women are just out for the money? Is that possible? I don't know.
Listen, I don't know.
It's possible. It's possible.
It is. Like, it just starts to snowball. But
what's the likelihood that 22 different women are coming out with these allegations and it's just nothing? Right? I mean, just the likelihood scale of 1 to 10. 1 being it's likely, and 10 meaning it's not likely. I mean, it's not likely, right? That they're all in it together. No. So the fact that they're willing to structure his contract, and so if he is suspended for X amount of games next year, that he's not losing a lot of money. Isn't the whole point of being suspended so you lose money? Isn't that the whole point?
I feel that they've dug themselves a hole.
Huge hole.
But listen, they said that they did the checks and like he was dismissed in a courthouse.
They did the checks.
However, the NFL is going to do their own investigation. Cleveland said that they did their own checks. They checked it out. I agree with you. Something's
if I'm the NFL and I find real wrongdoing with Deshaun Watson, he's not only suspended, I'm fining him millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I'm fining the Browns millions of dollars for the way that they did the whole thing.
They had the same thing 2005, I think, with Big Ben, and like suspended, fined, the whole thing. And like now
difference there is there was no like a contract restructuring, right? Like this is blatant that they're trying to avoid this.
This is also years later where like there's just more bad things that are coming. Like there's consequences now for those bad things that happened in the past.
To me, this is blatant disrespect of the women, the game of football, the way that the salary works. I mean, I am not a Cleveland fan this year. I've been a fan of Cleveland. I've been rooting for them because they're Cleveland and they're shit every year. I'm not a fan. This turns me the wrong way. It rubs me the wrong way. It smells like shit. I think it's atrocious what they're doing. And it almost seems like to me that they're admitting he's guilty of something. Because why are you structuring the contract for him to not make any money next year if you're not worried he's going to be in trouble? Right?
I agree. Side note, little breaking news: Matt
Go ahead.
Breida signed with the Giants today.
Who cares?
Breaking. I mean, listen, maybe we could trade Saquon Barkley. I don't know.
Anyhow,
Listen, you go do your thing. It's 9:30, so like you go do your thing.
I'm gonna go play
Warzone
Warzone
with the gang. I'm gonna go watch and like the vibes. And
Okay.
I love you to pieces. And this is
You're so
episode
nice.
9, so like we're gonna go to fucking 10 next week, double digits. Hello, we're gonna talk about Elite Eights next week. We're gonna talk about. Well, are we gonna talk about Final Four next week? Possibly, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, I believe.
Yeah.
Let me.
So we're gonna
real
see
quick,
2 games before we go, and we're gonna talk about Final Fours on whose brackets busted. My survivor pool. Gotta pray that St. Peter's covers. Gotta pray, and I also have to pray that I don't know who's favorited, whether it be Duke or Texas Tech. Texas Tech might be the underdog because they're the 3 seed. But if they cover, I could then swoop in to take Duke, and that would be phenomenal. Then my bracket can go, and I have Duke winning it all, and I would make some serious coin.
this weekend we have Sweet 16 Thursday, Friday, Elite 8 Saturday, Sunday.
Hey, yo, let's go. So
Final
we're
Four
chilling.
starts on my birthday, April 2nd, and then it rolls into the 4th. That is the final. That is the championship. I believe that's Tuesday.
That's it.
I think so.
That's it.
Or
I hope
Monday.
you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed this phenomenal podcast that we do here, and we shoot shit. We talk to sports. We give you some awesome ads in which I type up throughout the day because
That are complete fucking bullshit.
I mean, listen.
I love them anyway.
And Dr. Squatch. That's it. Those were the 2 for today. I'll leave you guys with this note, and I'm out of here. Take care. Brush your hair. And I'm out. Maddie, I love you, dog.
Love you, brother.